Destiny, fate, random chance. How do things truly happen on a day-to-day basis? Is everything that you've ever experienced been set on a set course that you could never alter? Or have you randomly woken up every single day and decided your own fate? Do we have control over this life that we lead, or is it just a long script we're all playing out? Well, this is a fairly common question. People ponder about whether or not free will allows us to separate ourselves from a preordained path, or about whether or not every single decision we ever make creates another multiverse where we didn't make that decision, leading to an infinitely branching and infinitely growing set amount of multiverses that display different results. But whether or not we believe in destiny or fate or random chance in our everyday life, the beauty of fictional universes is we can understand whether or not they have destiny or fate or prophecies that come true. And today we're going to be talking about one of those fictional universes, and more importantly, about a prophecy that draws a line through the entirety of the universe. So today we're going to be talking about Naruto, like we always do. But specifically, we're going to be talking about the prophecy created by the great Toad Sage about the child of prophecy, who would be taught by Jiraiya to either lead the world to light or darkness. In the Naruto universe, things like destiny and fate exist because the Toads, and specifically the likes of the great Toad Sage, are able to have dreams that always come true, allowing them to prophesize the future accurately. And the child of prophecy is arguably one of the most important themes in all of Naruto, involving some of the most important characters in Naruto, like Jiraiya, Sasuke, Nagato, Naruto. But this incredibly important theme that's talked about for the entirety of Naruto may not have actually been accurate. See, the child of prophecy, Naruto, Nagato, or Sasuke, depending on who you ask, was supposed to bring peace to the world. And one could argue with the conclusion of the Fourth Great Shinobi World War that peace was achieved on Earth. And while technically peace was achieved between the hidden villages, peace was not achieved for Earth. See, in the Fourth Great Shinobi World War, a pawn in the form of Kaguya was killed. A pawn in an army of aliens who are trying to devour Earth because their god's body exists there. And while technically some semblance of peace was achieved on Earth for at least a couple of years, even outside of the confines of Boruto's story, there truly isn't peace on Earth yet. So what if, hypothetically, the great Toad Sage was wrong? Or what if, hypothetically, the likes of Jiraiya and Minato were wrong? What if Naruto isn't the child of prophecy, and the role of the child of prophecy is actually yet to be fulfilled? Or what if, hypothetically, Naruto is the child of prophecy, but he has yet to actually fulfill the journey of bringing peace to the world? Well, a lot of these questions might sound a little out there. I actually have some incredibly compelling evidence to back up each and every single one of these claims. And by the end of today's video, I hope you'll realize that the child of prophecy has actually yet to fulfill said prophecy. Now, as to who that actual child of prophecy is, well, you're gonna have to wait until the end of the video for that one. So let's get chugging in that direction now. But before we do, guys, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. And if I could prophesize anything, I'd be prophesizing the fact that you're gonna follow my other YouTube channel, The Weeb Commander, where I talk about all other anime outside of Naruto and Boruto. But there's something else in the prophecy. It's also saying that you're gonna follow my anime podcast that I do every week with Danny Mata called Otaku's Anonymous, which is available on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So in Naruto, there's a saying: Toads rarely dream, but when they do, their dreams come true. Now, this is a saying used by the Toads, specifically the great Toad Sage, to tell people about the prophecies they had while dreaming. Because every dream a Toad has is actually a prophecy of the future. And inarguably, the most important prophecy that the great Toad Sage ever prophesied is about the child of prophecy. A child that Jiraiya would steward in either the right or the wrong direction. And depending on what direction that child was stewarded in, that child would either save the world or destroy it. However, unfortunately, there was no description of what the child looked like or what their abilities would be. And thus, Jiraiya simply had to go through his life looking for incredible children that he believed would be the child of prophecy. Because of this, in Jiraiya's early days, before he was shipped off to the Second Great Shinobi World War, when he got a team of Genin, which was Minato and the two others, he was introduced to the first child he believed might actually be the child of prophecy. However, he wasn't super sold on Minato. He was, however, substantially more sold on a child he would meet after the Second Great Shinobi World War. And that child would be Nagato, one of the 3 Ame orphans he raised for 3 years after the Second Great Shinobi World War. See, Jiraiya believed that Nagato would be the child of prophecy because Nagato was a wielder of the Rinnegan, and Jiraiya understood that the Rinnegan was a power that hails from Hagoromo, the Sage of Six Paths. And thus, as this child had powers from Hagoromo, this child must be the child of prophecy, which honestly, fair assumption. And now this, in Jiraiya's guilt about destroying Ame during the Second Great Shinobi World War, is why Jiraiya decided to raise the Ame orphans, if only for a little bit. Now, why Jiraiya would decide to leave the child of prophecy who may either save the world or throw it into chaos, that escapes me a little bit. Oh, you're saying you had something more important to do than raise the child who might destroy the world? However, ironically, Jiraiya did have something more important to do than raise the child who might destroy the world, because Nagato wasn't the only child of prophecy. See, when Jiraiya heard about the Akatsuki and how they were being led by Nagato, Jiraiya, still believing that Nagato was the child of prophecy, wanted to kill Nagato. Because after all, since the Great Toad Sage's prophecies are always true, now that Nagato was evil, he was gonna destroy the world. And since Jiraiya felt as though he was solely responsible for casting Nagato into the darkness, he felt it was his key responsibility to be the one who took Nagato out. Which is why he goes to Ame alone. It's not Tsunade's fault.
Oh, she sent Jiraiya to go fight against the Six Paths of Pain by himself.
Literally what he wanted, and also there's very few people that actually would have been able to keep up in that battle from Konoha at that current time. You saw what one Path of Pain did to Kakashi. However, when Jiraiya was battling against Nagato, he realized that Nagato wasn't the child of prophecy. He realized that Minato was actually correct. See, because Minato, with the child of prophecy in his brain, decided to seal half of Kurama into his infant son, because Minato believed that Tobi would try to cast the world into darkness and that his son was the child of prophecy and would therefore need Kurama's power. However, it wasn't until just about when Jiraiya was about to die that Jiraiya realized that Minato was correct, which is why Jiraiya burnt a message into Fukusu's back in order to tell the Hidden Leaf about how to fight against Nagato. Okay, so now we've all agreed that Naruto is the child of prophecy, right? Wrong. Well, not wrong, but not entirely accurate. See, obviously Naruto, after the death of Jiraiya, returns to Konoha to battle against Nagato. And while battling against Nagato, eventually Naruto is able to get enough interrupted time talking to Nagato to convince Nagato to kill himself. And in the action of killing himself, Nagato revives the entirety of Konoha. And it's after the conclusion of the Pain arc in Naruto and Nagato's battle that the Great Toad Sage realizes that the original prophecy of there only being one child of prophecy is actually incorrect. The Great Toad Sage goes on to realize that there was 2 children of prophecy, and those were Nagato and Naruto, who were both trying to save the world. But once again, the Great Toad Sage wasn't exactly 1000% accurate here, because the children of prophecy are also referred to as the saviors of the world. And the children of prophecy would actually shift once again from Naruto and Nagato to Naruto and Sasuke as a separate interpretation of the children of prophecy. Prophecy stated that Naruto and Sasuke, as the reincarnations of Indra and Ashura, were the real children of prophecy, and thus the whole child of prophecy is kind of jumbled. Pretty much the most unilaterally accepted way to interpret this prophecy is that the Great Toad Sage told Jiraiya that he would teach a student who would be able to enact massive change on the world. And that child is Naruto, who roped in Nagato to the children of prophecy as well, because Nagato was also helpful and instrumental in saving Konoha, even though he was the person who killed Konoha. Outside of that, since Naruto is the reincarnation of Ashura, the reincarnation of Indra, Sasuke is also getting fished into this equation. Because when it boils down to it, the children of prophecy are just people with the massive ability to enact change on a global scale. Nagato, Sasuke, and Naruto all fall into that category. But the problem with this prophecy is that this prophecy states that these children of prophecy will save the world. I mean, after all, children of prophecy and saviors of the world are used kind of interchangeably. Like we've already stated, while one could absolutely argue that Naruto and Sasuke do save the world, looking at the greater scale of the Naruto universe, saying that defeating Kaguya is saving the world is a bit like saying that Naruto and Sasuke saved the world when they beat Obito. Sure, they beat a big baddie, but that big baddie was only a part of a bigger and badder system. See, Naruto and Sasuke defeated a pawn in the Otsutsuki clan. A lower-ranking Otsutsuki who rebelled against their higher-ranking Otsutsuki, jumped him, tore him in half, and then proceeded to eat a chakra fruit that wasn't meant for her. And because of this, Kaguya was actually public enemy #1 for the Otsutsuki clan, which is why she actually enacted Infinite Tsukiyomi and created a White Setsu army so she could fight back against the other Otsutsuki. Therefore, ironically, by defeating Kaguya, they were defeating defeating somebody who probably would have been an ally somewhere down the line. Because the enemy of my enemy is my friend, especially when she has almost infinite chakra, is the progenitor of chakra on Earth, can teleport, has Ash-all-killing bones, expansive True Seeker orb. She would have been a really good ally to have in a fight against, oh, I don't know, the likes of Ashiki Part 2. The Earth might be safe from itself, but the Earth has technically never been in more peril. See, well, obviously wars between hidden villages have all but been absolved since things like the Shinobi Alliance were formed that later turned into the Shinobi Union, which means all problems between villages basically get fixed diplomatically now, which is actually very well painted out in Shikamaru's second light novel, where we saw a continental Kage meeting where every leader from every village all across the continent came together to talk diplomatically, meaning that the Shinobi Union has pretty much just become the UN of the ninja world. But if the UN did things, and for the foreseeable future, peace will continue to be enacted on Earth. But here's the thing, well, obviously the Shinobi Union does exist. It's also tied together mostly through Konoha's influence. And on top of that, it's mostly tied together through Naruto's influence. Because as we saw in Shikamaru's second light novel, all that really took was one village, the Hidden Stone Village, to start make a rumbling about recreating a warlike state between the hidden villages for the Shinobi Union to almost fall apart. See, to quickly surmise what goes on in Shikamaru's light novel, the rest of the villages, specifically the Hidden Stone Village, get upset that Konoha is developing weapons. Well, not necessarily weapons, but shinobi wear. You know, the thing that Boruto uses in his Chunin exam? And because of this, Konoha, just like they did after basically every armistice they ever signed after the conclusion of a great shinobi world war, was getting stronger than the other hidden villages. But Konoha weren't the only people doing this, because obviously we learned in the last that the Hidden Cloud created a chakra cannon powerful enough to destroy the moon. And therefore, basically every village was hoarding secrets from each other. But the more powerful villages, like the Hidden Leaf and the Hidden Cloud, were getting more powerful than the weaker villages. On top of this, the daimyo from the Land of Stone wanted to create the era of ninja again because he believed that ninjas were getting useless in an era of peace. Now, this entire light novel is basically just about bigger and bigger meetings until eventually Shikamaru can get Naruto in front of the entire continent. But without Naruto being there to assuage everybody's worries, war might have been started again, which once again could probably point towards the fact that Naruto is the child of prophecy. But it also more points towards the fact that peace between these villages is still relatively fragile. On top of that, Earth now has an interdimensional alien race that's trying to wipe it out in its entirety. And every single clan member from that race is stronger than the one that it took 20,000 shinobi to defeat. Well, 20,000 shinobis died in the Fourth Great Shinobi World War, and Kage actually didn't kill any of them except for Obito, but you get my point. Earth is hardly safe from itself and definitely not safe from space.
But before anybody goes, oh, but that's just Boruto messing up Naruto's timeline again.
It's not. From the second that Kaguya was introduced, we knew that she hailed from an alien race that existed out in space. She said it herself. She said she hails from an alien race that looks for chakra trees on planets, implying that she was not the only one of her race. And to take it even one step further than that, Naruto the Last, which is completely canon, mind you, introduced another Otsutsuki in the form of Toneri who lived on the moon. And thus, only 3 years after the conclusion of the Fourth Great Shinobi World War, there was another Otsutsuki trying to hurdle the moon at Earth, a threat that had never existed prior to that exact moment. On top of that, it's also revealed to us that Toneri hails from Hamura's lineage that moved to the moon and had lived there for thousands of years. And once again, ensuring us that there is interdimensional traveling aliens out there who are able to destroy the Earth, all within Naruto's timeline. Now, obviously, this problem does get substantially worse when you consider Boruto's timeline, as Boruto's timeline introduced the likes of Momoshiki, Kinshiki, Ishiki, Shibai, Otsutsuki, literal gods who have acquired so much power they were able to shed their physical bodies and just go exist in a separate dimension by themselves, who, mind you, have had connections to Earth for thousands of years. Because, well, obviously, the likes of Momoshiki and Kinshiki didn't find Earth until Boruto's timeline, Shibai shed his body on Earth before the events of Naruto even happened. At least, maybe. We're actually not entirely sure. But what we do know is that his body is on Earth. And I feel like if Shibai Otsutsuki had descended down to Earth in order to shed his body, we probably would have gone over that in Naruto and or Boruto's timeline. But what am I driving at here? Well, essentially what I'm saying is that the Earth isn't safe. While we might be in an era of peace, it is just that. An era. And the ninja world has known eras of peace. There was a 20-year armistice between the First and Second Great Shinobi World Wars. Do I consider Hashirama or Tobirama children of prophecy because they pushed for peace? No. And while obviously Hashirama was a reincarnation of Ashura, it's not like his life being lost at the hands of something, probably plot, brought an era of peace. So what if everyone was wrong? What if Naruto isn't the child of prophecy? What if we have yet to see the child of prophecy, or at least have yet to see the child of prophecy fulfill the prophecy? What if the child of prophecy is actually somebody from the new era? Somebody like Boruto. See, I know what you're saying.
Nick, Jiraiya is dead and gone. He has no influence on Boruto.
Jiraiya can't be there to direct Boruto in a direction of either light or dark. However, the whole idea that Naruto was ever in the situation to stray towards the darkness has always been a weird one to me. I mean, obviously, yes, Naruto was the Jinchuriki of Kurama, who was an incredibly malignant force within him. Therefore, Naruto did technically always have the chance to be influenced by Kurama to become evil. But that idea never passed through Naruto's mind. The only time Naruto even came close to becoming evil wasn't because Naruto was becoming evil, it was simply just because Kurama was taking control. And even if Naruto had lost control of Kurama, sure, Kurama would have come out, but Kurama would have just been sealed again, probably in a worse Jinchuriki candidate than Naruto, but still. It's not like Kurama being released would have led to the end of the world. However, when you think about characters like Boruto, he is in a constant struggle between the light and the dark. See, Momoshiki's entire gambit is trying to make Boruto lose all hope, to cede control of the body over to Momoshiki. Momoshiki and Boruto do not have the collaborative relationship that Naruto and Kurama have. And unlike Naruto and Kurama, they are now inseparable. Boruto is 100% Otsutsuki, and therefore Momoshiki lives within him forever. And unlike with Naruto, should hypothetically Boruto stray towards the darkness and become a true Otsutsuki and give control to Momoshiki, that could lead to the end of the world. Momoshiki has already tried to end the world once before. Now that the Avengers of the Naruto universe have been nerfed by the likes of Boruto and Ishiki, Momoshiki pretty much has a clear run to destroying the Earth if he ever remanifests. And thus, if there is technically a child who could lead the world into destruction, it would be Boruto. In fact, that's kind of currently the ideology in Boruto right now, as the entire world believes that Boruto, as an outsider, killed Naruto, which has led Momoshiki to believe that his prophecy that Boruto will lose everything was coming true. And listen, I'm not saying that everyone was wrong. Technically, the Great Toad Sage could still be correct, because even though Jiraiya is dead and buried and sunk to the bottom of a very deep swimming pool, his tutelage and his influence can still absolutely reach Boruto. One could argue that his tutelage and his influence could reach Boruto through the medium of his father, and that by directing Naruto to become a fine ninja, a fine father, and a fine man, that he has now influenced Boruto to go towards the light. Boruto has inherited Naruto's cheer and his will of fight, and thus giving up isn't something on his schedule. However, Jiraiya's influence could go even further beyond just the medium of Naruto, because Jiraiya does still technically exist in Boruto, just in the form of Kashin Koji. And who's to say that Kashin Koji hasn't already directly influenced Boruto's life? See, without Kashin Koji, Jigen never would have died, as it was Kashin Koji's battle against Jigen that forced Ishiki to lose Jigen as a vessel, putting a timer on Ishiki's life, which is the only reason he was defeated in the first place. And therefore, without the likes of Kashin Koji, Naruto, Sasuke, and probably the entire world would be dead. Kawaki would be Ishiki's karma vessel once again. He would reincarnate through the medium of Kawaki, and then bye-bye Earth. Therefore, just based off that evidence, one could argue that Jiraiya has already had an influence in Boruto's life. But you could take it one step further than that, because many people speculate that Kashin Koji will probably train Boruto at one point or another. One, to draw the parallel between Naruto and Jiraiya, and two, because Kashin Koji didn't die in his battle against Ishiki. He was injured and managed to reverse summon himself to Mount Muabuka. Now, as to whether or not Ada's mind control will work on Kashin Koji, we don't know. We understand that Ada's mind control doesn't work on people that love Boruto, and it's possibility because Kashin Koji is Jiraiya's clone, his genetics make him love Boruto, as we've already seen that Kashin Koji has unlocked numerous of Jiraiya's memories, not to mention the beautiful plot implications of Naruto once again getting to be with Jiraiya, even though it is in the means of Kashin Koji. And even outside of plot implications, Kashin Koji training Boruto makes a lot of sense. Kashin Koji, outside of Amado, probably knows more about the Otsutsukis than anyone. And while obviously Sasuke is also incredibly knowledgeable on the Otsutskis, Sasuke knew next to nothing about Kara, yet Kashin Koji was an inner that was technically betrayed by Amado, who's probably up to something nefarious anyway. And thus Kashin Koji could act as a well of information for Boruto and Sasuke as they train to fight the likes of, well, whatever Otsutsuki's up next. On top of that, Kashin Koji knows code very well. Therefore, he could also give information about code and how to defeat him, very much influencing Boruto in his journey down becoming the possible child of prophecy. So what if hypothetically the Great Toad Sage wasn't seeing Jiraiya, but instead Kashin Koji. I mean, the Great Toad Sage didn't see who the Child of Prophecy was. Being able to distinguish between Jiraiya and Jiraiya's clone would be tough. The only real argument against Boruto being the Child of Prophecy is the fact that Hagoromo's last words to all of the tailed beasts after he created them was eventually they'll meet a person who sets them all on the right path and unites them. And during the Fourth Great Shinobi World War, Kurama remembered these words when Naruto freed all of the tailed beasts from Tobi's control. And at that moment, all of the tailed beasts agreed that Naruto was the man that Hagoromo was talking about. However, once again, I would argue, did Naruto send the tailed beasts down the correct path? I mean, obviously, yes. Now, all of the tailed beasts are free, they're running around Earth, but is that the right path? Kurama is dead. Half of the tailed beasts want nothing to do with humanity, with really the only ones who show up to have anything to do with humanity and protect it or communicate with it at all are Son Goku, Isobu, and a couple of others, meaning that more than half of the tailed beasts want nothing to do with humanity and simply run around living their own lives, trying to stay as far away from humans as possible. However, the nine-tailed beasts were created to be protectors of humanity. This is why Hagoromo placed them in areas that were representative of the form they took. They were supposed to protect the Earth and the humans on it. Now, obviously, humans and tailed beasts don't have the best relationship, especially the likes of Shukaku, who was sealed away with his Jinchuriki in a teapot for decades. Now, obviously, Naruto played a massive role in making some of the unfriendly tailed beasts friendly once again, with Shukaku now being one of the tailed beasts who actively tries to help humanity. But not all the tailed beasts have been placed on this right path yet. They helped once in the Fourth Great Shinobi World War because they didn't want to be placed in the ghetto statue, but that's kind of it. So what if there's still yet use for the tailed beast? What if Boruto is able to gather the 8 tailed beasts that currently exist on Earth to battle against the new 10 tails? I mean, think about it. It would make sense thematic. Code broke the juvenile 10 tails at the Kara hideout into a bunch of 10 tail clones. And while hypothetically the Shinobi Union could just garner a bunch of forces to battle against the 10 tail clones like they did in the Fourth Great Shinobi World War, the reason that a lot of those shinobi were able to battle against those clones was the Kurama cloak they were wearing. So what if when faced up against terrible odds, Boruto goes out and finds the 8-tailed beast, and he goes on to recruit these tailed beasts to help humanity in a battle against this juvenile 10 tails, something that they, and really only they, are qualified to do, considering the fact that they were once a 10 tails themselves. Or what if Boruto isn't actually the Child of Prophecy? What if Naruto is the Child of Prophecy, but his prophecy isn't done yet? What if Naruto, upon being released from the Daikokuten, actually begins his journey to set the tailed beast on the right path? What if Naruto returns to his previous role as the Jinchuriki of all of the tailed beasts simultaneously? Well, obviously Kurama won't be around anymore. Hypothetically, Naruto could get the rest of the other tailed beasts on a path towards working with humanity by becoming their Jinchuriki and assuming the role as pseudo Sage of Six Paths, a form that Naruto could truly assume to actually save Earth this time, as Naruto and Boruto, the 2 children of prophecy, actually battle against the Otsutsuki higher-ups and rid them from the universe, truly and finally creating peace that would last on Earth. And they could do this after receiving tutelage from Kashin Koji, who probably knows as much about Shibai Otsutsuki as anyone outside of Amida. And therefore, once again, in another life, Jiraiya would be able to inspire, teach, and guide the children of prophecy towards the light. And these 2 children of prophecy would not only direct the tailed beast in the correct way, which is protecting Earth and humanity, but also would rid the universe of an intergalactic threat that wipes out planets like it's a regular Tuesday. And thus the prophecy created by the Great Toad Sage decades ago would finally come to fruition. And not only would Naruto be the Child of Prophecy still, but his child would also be the Child of Prophecy. And considering the fact that most iterations of the Child of Prophecy promise 2 children of prophecy, whether that be the Great Toad Sage realizing that both Nagato and Naruto could be the children of prophecy, or Hagoromo's interpretation of the children of prophecy having both Indra and Ashura's reincarnations be the children of prophecy. So, long story short, how can we say that Naruto brought upon peace to the Earth when peace on Earth hasn't been achieved yet? How can we sign him off as the Child of Prophecy when the prophecy hasn't been fulfilled yet? How can a child who was put in a terrible circumstance but never ever wavered towards the dark ever truly be considered a threat that could have destroyed Earth, when instead we have Boruto, who is an actual threat who could destroy Earth and is constantly dealing with the battle of a god in his head telling him to become evil? So it's not that the prophecy is wrong, it's that the prophecy hasn't happened yet, but soon enough it will. But then again, what do I know, guys? I'm just a man who yells into the internet and says child of prophecy 465 times in one video. What do you guys think? Do you believe that Naruto is the child of prophecy? Do you believe it's Boruto? Do you believe it's both of them? Tell me in the comments below. And while you guys are down there, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, hit that noti bell. You guys heard about this child of prophecy thing? I'm reading about it. Sounds kind of crazy.